Good afternoon, everybody. We're so glad that you've joined us today. We're going to go ahead and give a minute or so for people to join us, and then we'll go ahead and get started. We do have a poll that we'd like you to participate. We'd love to know who you are that's participating today, so please go ahead and fill in that poll as soon as you join. Similarly, we have a QR code there on the screen, and if you can, once you finish the poll, go ahead and pull out your phone and take a picture of that QR code. It tells us more about who's joining and what your role is for our internal planning purposes. So really appreciate you participating in that.
100% participation in the poll so far. Nice.
Great. We love it.
They're coming in fast too.
It's great.
So far, nearly half are district administrators.
Great. So glad that you guys are joining us. There's so many competing priorities and that you're choosing to be here with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Hi, Dana. Thank you for the shout out. Brownsville ISD.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a really robust training today. I am Kelly Kravitz, the director of our Highly Mobile and At-Risk Student Programs Division. This is our first webinar of the 2024 year. So welcome to the new year. Welcome to our webinar. This is our third webinar of the 23-24 school year. I'm really thrilled just to be with you this afternoon. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedules and lives to join us today. We've got some really great content and information. For those that are just joining, we do have a QR code on the screen, so please do take a picture of that. We'd love to know more about your role specifically, and also go ahead and fill out that poll for anybody who hasn't had a chance to do that yet.
And just to mention, there are two questions in the poll. The first one is, please select the choice that most closely describes your role. And the second question is, how long have you been in your current role?
So as we're getting started, we have an exciting announcement to share, and that is that we have some reorganization that's happened at the agency with some new inclusion regarding our populations and those that we serve. And so we are now the Office of Special Populations and Student Supports. And as a part of that change, we're so excited to introduce Dr. Blakey, who will be sharing here in a few minutes more about her division and all of the important work that they do. You'll hear about some work that you've heard about before, and then a bunch of new work as well. And so we're just so thankful to have Dr. Blakey's team joining us today, but a part of the Office of Special Populations, and just the fact that now at the agency, we are putting all those pieces together with special populations and student supports, which is what you all do every day in your respective roles all across this great state. And so really, I'm excited about this organizational change at the agency and further connections that we're going to be able to make in our leadership and support of the work that you all do across the state. So in our office, this is our mission, this is our true north statement, but together we are committed to high expectations and strong systems that provide supports to achieve equitable outcomes for students with diverse learning needs. Here within the Highly Mobile and At-Risk Student Programs division within the Office of Special Populations, we serve specifically our military-connected students, which you'll be hearing more about from Dr. Bowser a little bit further in the presentation. Homeless children and youth, you'll be hearing more from Desiree concerning our Texas Education for Homeless Children and Youth program. Child abuse and neglect is some work that we are working on and working with a handful of different offices. Actually, Dr. Blakely's team will be inheriting this work as we're moving forward, but it's something that we've been leading on now for the last number of years. Pregnancy-related services and foster care and student success that Dr. Watson leads. So just at a high level for those that maybe are joining us new or haven't been in a while, as a refresher, and these webinars are to provide just timely updates, reminders, key information to support you in the work that you do concerning all of our different special populations that we serve. So each team member and program area will be providing you relevant updates. And then a change that we've made to our webinars over the last couple of years is bringing in guests from across the agency with different program areas that tie to the important work that you all do. And so, as I mentioned, Dr. Blakey will be joining us today. So we're currently doing our introduction. Dr. Blakey will be providing an update and sharing about her team and division. Then we'll have Dr. Watson going over foster care and student success. Desiree leading us with the TECHI program updates. Dr. Bowser leading us with the military connected updates. And then we'll be closing up with some just high level reminders and updates before we close out today's our time together this afternoon.
All right, and before we move on, I wanted to go ahead and share the results from our poll with the audience. You can see there, we have about 43% today joining us that are district administrators, 2% campus administrators, 9% school counselors. We have 1% teachers, academic coach, 12% social workers and case managers, and then 12% ESC liaison or staff. So thank you for joining us today.
So as we get started, we wanted to go ahead and introduce our team to you. So really excited to just have an opportunity for every team member to unmute themselves and introduce themselves. A couple changes that I wanted to highlight is that Dr. Bowser has been promoted to Assistant Director of the Highly Mobile and At-Risk Student Programs Division. So just really grateful for Dr. Bowser's leadership, and excited about the expanded capacity and work that he will be doing as he supports this whole division as Assistant Director. Also that we will be adding to our team. We did have that TECHI vacancy, that specialist role that has been posted, and we are in our final stages concerning interviewing and making final selections there. And then we'll be having a new team member at our May webinar. So thank you to all of you that posted that, shared it, applied, shared it with colleagues. We had a very robust applicant pool, 109 applications. And a very rigorous review and interview process to get us to the point of our final interviews. So really excited about a new team member that will be joining us. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Bowser, and then he'll pass it on down the line. We have an incredible team here at the agency serving you, and just would like for everybody to introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, good to see you all again today. Great to be with you. I'm Dr. Jimmy Bowser. I'm the Assistant Director of this awesome Highly Mobile and At-Risk Student Programs team here. I've been with the agency for about 18 months, and so it's been rocking and rolling, and have a great time. And our webinars are one of my favorite things that we do here, so glad to see you all here today. Now, hey Josh, I see you in the chat. I'll turn it over to Desiree.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. LaTrenda Watson. I am over I'm the At-Risk State Coordinator, and I'm responsible for foster care and student success, and also our pregnancy-related services and at-risk programs. So I've been with the agency for about 2 years now, and I've enjoyed working on building our foster care program within state. So good to see you all here today. Next, we'll have Desiree.
Hi, everybody. Desiree Vermontes as the TECHI coordinator. So excited to be here with you.
Great. Thanks, everybody. I did want to go ahead and share the results from our poll so that everybody can see that. Dr. Bowser called out the numbers that we saw, but did want to go ahead and share that with everybody. So we do see that 43% of folks joining us today are district administrators. So wanted to call that out and just really appreciate you taking the time to be here today. And of course, all the other roles as well: campus administrators, 2%, school counselors, 9%, teacher and academic coaches, learning specialists, 1%, social workers and case managers, 12%, and ESC liaisons and staff, 12%. So we've got a great representation here today. Okay, so just a couple of technical housekeeping things before we get started. So please do submit any questions that you have to the Zoom Q&A, and we will do our best to respond throughout our time. A PDF of the presentation and a video recording will be posted on our website and available. And as we've shared in the past, we're unable to make our PowerPoint available in advance, so thank you for your understanding regarding that. And then something else, just as a reminder, those continuing professional education credits are available for those that attended today and those that registered. So we'll be working pretty quickly to get those out to you in the next few days following completion of today's presentation. We immensely value your feedback, and so just want to remind you all to participate in our survey. So this is another QR code, so please take out your phones, take a picture of it. We will have the opportunity to share this again at the end as well, but just would love to get your feedback on the presentation. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Amy Blakey, who is our Division Director of the Supportive Schools Division, to share and provide updates.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful afternoon. And again, I would just second everything the team has already said. Thank you so much for taking time to join us. And thank you for what you're doing in the field. I know it's a really challenging time, unprecedented time in education for administrators and districts. And while we're at the state level, we are not unaware of what you all are walking through. And we hope that I hope my division especially can be supportive and can get you what you need. So I'm going to share a little bit about the division. If you want to go to the next slide, Kelly. So the Student Supports Division really has 3 different teams. We have student supports, and a good way to think of that is really school climate, very broad, MTSS, whole child approach. So while we don't focus on academics, all of those pieces that go to support students and enable to be successfully academic, I think these are super important and they build that foundation. So that is one of our teams, which I'll share a little bit about, and I'll talk about the leadership of each of the teams. The other is the mental and behavioral health and wellness team, all things mental health with regards to the state, and then restorative practices and student discipline. The other big picture items that the team and the division focuses on is we're pretty involved during the legislative session with policy and supporting legislation. So we want to make sure that we hear from you in the field as well, and that we are able to help get the policies in place that can make you all effective and make it easier to do your jobs and take down barriers. We also do a lot of supports and resources, professional developments, which I'll talk about out in the field to make sure that you are connected with best practices and research in all of these different areas. Okay, next slide. All right, so there's our crew, there's our leadership team. Of course, I am the division director, and I have a fabulous team of three musketeers. Dr. Gay Lang, who some of you may be very familiar with. She is an expert resident in the field in education, and specifically for the last several years has been the key contact for restorative practices in the state of Texas. She works in all ESCs, does quite a few trainings. She really is such a huge resource and advocate. And if you have not had the opportunity to take or participate in her restorative practices programs, highly recommend those. So she is our director of the discipline team. Next is Hank Weikart. He's our student supports team director. And again, he handles quite a few different grants, and I'll get into the details, but I think when you think of Hank, you want to think of the whole child, MTSS, school climate, really ensuring that students have an atmosphere where they can grow and be successful. Not just as a scholar, but as a person. And then Julie Wayman, who some of you are probably very familiar with. She is the guru of all things mental health, and she is such a resource and value to us. Excellent with policy, and she leads an amazing team that has grown over the last couple of years. So before we go to the next slide, what I think might be helpful if I just take a second and talk about how all of this came together. So prior to me becoming the director for the division, the agency did some reorganization and trying to partner teams within the division that made the most sense. So there was at one point in time, Chapter 37 in student discipline was in a different area. I believe it was in data and PEIMS. And then mental health and behavioral health had some stint in special populations, and then was in different offices. And then, like I said, about a year and a half ago, they kind of reconfigured and aligned the division in a way that really makes sense, because all three of these really do intersect to support students in a way, and it's often very similar to how districts models have you know, you have your district system set up. So we hopefully that also helps with you all. And then when we joined the Office of Special Populations, that's really where I think the alignment is really seen to model what you all have in the field. And it's been fantastic. We worked fairly closely with the Office of Special Populations prior to joining, but the work that we do is very complementary, very integrated. And we hope that you all see the benefit of that as we move throughout the course of this next year. So hopefully that helps everybody with kind of a big picture understanding of how the division came to be and what our purpose is. I don't know if Kelly, if you want to, before we move on, if you want to add anything to what I said. Kelly may have a little more history that she might think is important, but.
Dr. Blakey, that was
Okay.
wonderful.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Great. Yeah. Okay, so student supports team. So there's two different folks and major grants. They do a lot more than just this, but these are the highlights. And so Carol Sadler is our community partnership specialist, and she oversees that grant. And then Sarah McCaslin is our Stronger Connections grant specialist. So those are the two folks who are on the student supports team. You can go to the next slide. This next slide talks a little bit about the Community Partnerships Grant. So if you are in any of the districts that are listed on this slide, Dallas ISD, Houston, Far San Juan, Sanger, Chapel Hill, Hearn, Marlin, or Fremont, you know what I'm talking about. And the goal was really to provide students who were at a disadvantage or not performing satisfactorily on state assessments to really get supports from within the community, other agencies, and really try to leverage and target those students to help them be successful and get them to a place where they're achieving at a level and being able to be competitive on those assessments. So Community Partnerships Grant is a great resource. And again, it's something that you'll have the opportunity to apply for. I think there'll be a new cohort, an application process this summer is what we're working towards. So that is our Community Partnerships Grant. And the next slide. Excuse me, I apologize for my cough. I've got either cold or allergies. I can't decide which one it is. But the Stronger Connections Grant is a huge project that we kicked off this last spring. And then this summer, Region 16 out of Amarillo was awarded the initial grant for the Texas Center for Student Supports. And our vision is for that center to really be able to enable and empower the grantees, and then hopefully at some point scalable to the entire state with putting an SSSP program in place. So you all have those at your schools. When you have a student who you've got concerns, you might call it your MTSS team. You might have a different name for it, but it's really a team that gets together. If a student's having academics, behavioral, attendance, discipline issues, you know, you're flagging a student and you want to make sure that you get them the resources that they need ahead of time to prevent anything from happening and get them on a pathway of success. One of the reasons the Stronger Connections Grant came about had to do with violence in schools and the unfortunate events that happened in Uvalde. And so the focus is really to make sure that schools have a process in place and resources in place to prevent a student from hurting themselves or others. So we're working very hard with Region 16 and with our grantees, 98 grantees, rural and small. We have quite a mix across the state, which is fantastic, to help those districts put in place systems that make it easier. And we also have a digital component, a digital case management component that we're working on to make it easier for you all to get the families and partner with your communities to get them what they need, and really trying to think outside the box and what resources, local resources, can you all tap into? What systems are already out there? One thing we've talked a lot about with this grant is our goal is to curate, not create. We truly believe that the answers are out there and that there are districts and schools that have this, that they're doing this right and they're getting results. And there's also programs and resources available. And we just want to make sure we make it easier for you and we put it in a package where you all can take advantage of that. Because like I said earlier, we need students to feel safe. They need to feel connected, and they need to really have a wellness intact so that they can be successful in school and grow and be great contributors. Okay, next slide. Okay, now we're going to talk about the mental and behavioral health and wellness team. And we have 3 folks who work with Julie right now. Tammy Genke is our mental health and wellness specialist. Ashton Millette is our Aware State Coordinator. And then our newest member of the team is Geraldine Gibbs, mental health and education specialist. So this is our team of 3. Next slide. There are a ton of things that this team does. And as you can see by that very busy slide, we tried to capture some of the big ones. Project Aware is one that is a SAMHSA grant that we are working on, which I think has been really powerful, just raising awareness and resiliency for students and helping them be successful and get the resources that they need. We also have a toolkit as well as trauma-informed care trainings. We've partnered with lots of agencies. And I think that's really the goal of the mental health team, is to take all these different resources that are available around the state, package them, and make sure that you all are getting what you need with regards to mental health, whether that's something you incorporate at your school or it's a local resource that you take advantage of. And I would also, if you want to go back really quick, Kelly, to that one slide, I would highly encourage folks to check out the School Mental Health Texas.org website. There is a ton of information on there. I'm not doing this team service. They do a lot, and they are helping with the Stronger Connections grant. By the way, they're coordinating, so our team works very interdependently. But if you have not checked that out, I would highly recommend that. Okay, next slide. Restorative practices and student discipline. So we have 2 folks that Dr. Lang leads. Some of you may recognize Miss Mary Scott. If you have chapter 37 questions, she is the go-to expert. She's amazing. She's very knowledgeable, and she will help you. She also provides professional development throughout the course of the year. So you can reach out to her and schedule something, because I know that is a requirement for folks to be trained and get your certificate. But she does all things chapter 37, and it's extremely helpful. And then Victoria is new to the team and is working on some resources, which there'll be more to come soon. We're not quite done with a certain project, but I think that we're going to be able to share with you all some pretty cool things. And I know student discipline is also on the forefront of everyone's mind. I get a lot of emails about student discipline, so does my team. And we believe that there's some things we can help you all put in place if you haven't yet, to help with that, to lower those numbers in terms of student discipline. Next slide. So again, here's some of the things that we do and the goals that we have: code of conduct, administration, best practices for school districts, and again, how to help lower those numbers. I truly believe a lot of this has to do with relationships and procedures and expectations. So speaking of that, if you go to the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about restorative practices. If you have not checked this out, or you're not familiar with the training that Dr. Lang provides, I would highly recommend, if this is an issue at your school, you're having some discipline issues, this is a great model to get in place. And when you work it and implement it correctly, you will see big results. It really is about helping them with relationships and how to communicate with students to get them to engage. And she just does a phenomenal job. And there's some proven practices that you can apply in your district and in your school that will help with decreasing those numbers. Last slide, I think, is also related to restorative practices, talks a little bit about the different tiers. And I just think it's an amazing program. If I were a principal, I was for 12 years. If I were back as a in the classroom or a principal again, this is absolutely 100% something I would want in my school. I really think it's phenomenal, and it can make a big difference in helping with culture and climate. So that is our team. Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me. I'm not sure if there's questions that anyone has, but I really appreciate the time, and looking forward to working with you all as we move forward this school year.
So much, Dr. Blakey. And do we have any questions in the chat or in the Q&A that have come in? Anything for Dr. Blakey related to her division and some of the work and projects that they are doing?
There's not anything in the Q&A at this time.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Blakey, have a good afternoon. And next up will be Dr. Watson providing foster care and student success updates.
Good morning once again, everyone. So wanted to provide you with some updates regarding foster care and student success.
Looks like Dr. Watson is frozen. Is that my computer or her computer?
Okay, okay,
Good,
here
we're
we
back.
go.
Great.
Okay, so first is foster care identification. So I want to go over some information, especially data regarding foster care identification from the past couple of years. So in 2019 and 2020, our PEIMS data that we pull from all the LEAs showed 17,451 students who were labeled in PEIMS as in foster care. They had that foster care indicator. So what I wanted to see is that we do have an MOU with DFPS and we do share data. So within the conservatorship of DFPS for students from 5 to 18, they had 29,905 students. We see that large gap and we're working on efforts to try to minimize that gap. We want to make sure that we're properly identifying those students as soon as they come. We want to make sure that we have all the information that we need to properly identify those students. So under identified within 2019 and 2020, we had 12,000 students that were under identified, meaning that we did not identify them within our PEIMS system. They may have been in our schools, we're not sure, but they were not foster care indicator identified. So let's go to 21 and 22 school year. So we had 15,409 students reported within PEIMS having that foster care indicator. And within DFPS conservatorship, they had 21,057 students. So we want to make sure we see that the number is going down for our students in foster care, but we still have 5,000 that were under identified. We want to make that smaller. We want to make sure we include all of our students so they can have all the resources and supports that they need in school. So we want to make sure we properly identify those students. And I want to remind you, you are able to pull your district's numbers. So please pull your numbers to see where you are, see how you identify your students, and make sure you are properly identifying your students. Next, I want to talk about some efforts on how to identify students and just give you some reminders on that. So the foster care identification students, remember, you must have that the proper documentation, and that's at the bottom. So just for those foster care identify your foster care liaison, please make sure you have your foster care liaison. Please make sure your district knows who your foster care liaison is. I've been doing trainings within the state, and that is my number one question. Do you know who your district foster care liaison is? And have they providing trainings and providing supports to you within your district? Remember, it is a mandate. It is a federal mandate and a state mandate that you have a foster care liaison. Also, with that immediate enrollment, make sure you, as soon as the students are showing proper information, you must show that you must enroll those students. As soon as they bring you that information, we want to ensure that those students are receiving proper identification. Next, your district processes. Do you know your district processes regarding students in foster care, not just enrollment, in working with those students? So what can you see and what can you have? Do you have those in processes? Also with your training, make sure you're providing training to your districts regarding your foster care processes. Nutrition benefits. Remember, all of your nutrition benefits, those students who are classified as foster care, they can obtain nutrition free. Remember, it starts on day one. As soon as you properly identify those students and having that foster care indicator, there should be some communication with your cafeteria manager stating that those students are to be receiving free school lunch. So just want to make sure you have processes available for that. Next, your enrollment conferences. Remember, with the Texas Administrative Code, you must have an enrollment conference with those students for the first 2 weeks of school or as soon as feasible. Remember, we want to ensure that those students understand what your school offers, want to make them feel comfortable as they come to your school, but you also want to gain information on that student so you can ensure that you're supporting that student in the correct manner. So please make sure you're having those enrollment conferences with those students. And then the proper documentation, having those 2085s, placement authorizations, your 2085Es, your education decision maker form, or court order. And remember, the 2085 also comes in a series. So if you see at the top of the document, it has 2085, that is acceptable documentation to classify those students as foster care. So please make sure you have that proper documentation, and then make sure you're collaborating with child welfare. DFPS educational specialists are there to support you. They're there to support the student. They're there to support the school, and they are a great resource to have to understand the DFPS side portion of that student. So please make sure you know who your DFPS educational specialist is. They are by county. Some counties have 2, some have 1, but please know who that person is. And everything that I just discussed and talked about is in our foster care guide. And we always lead back to our foster care guide, chapters 6 and 7. You're able to go find all of this information and more details about that in chapter 6 and 7. So next, I want to talk to you about the free application for federal student aid. Remember FAFSA opened this year in a new time in December. We used to have it open in October, but now it opened in December, and it is smaller now. They don't have all the questions that they usually have, but I want to make sure that you look at our students in foster care. But I'm just going to give you a highlight about the FAFSA. So please make sure you're helping your students complete the form. Remember, it is a graduation requirement that the students complete the forms. I saw data from when they pulled information regarding students in foster care filling out the FAFSA, and those numbers were kind of low. So we want to make sure that we support all of our students who are in foster care in completing the FAFSA form. So make sure if they're getting ready to attend college in 24-25, they have that deadline to start filling out their application. And we want to highlight that main question. So a student who was at the time since the age of 13, so watch this wording, a foster child or a ward of the court is independent even if their status changed later. So that is the question that's on the FAFSA regarding students in foster care. So just want to highlight that information for you. Also, your consideration for priority. We want to make sure if our students are looking at post-secondary, we want to make that priority consideration. So March 15th is the new deadline for that priority. So please make sure you are assisting those students in foster care with those post-secondary opportunities. And then lastly, that FAFSA, it will be the deadline to submit for the 24-25 school year is June 30th. So just want to highlight this information for you as you support your students. And we do have information regarding the FAFSA in the Foster Care and Student Success Guide in chapter 13. So on this next slide, this is actually screenshots from the FAFSA. This is the question that regards our students in foster care. So it's the number 5 under personal circumstances. I highlighted for you in yellow that at the time since the student turned 13 that they were in foster care. So that is the information that is given for you that you want to assist the student in. And also within the FAFSA, they provide written answers for you to suggest on how to answer the questions. So that bottom part is what the information that is on the FAFSA that they're giving you to make sure you support the answer. So for that foster care section, it says select if any time since you were 13, you were in foster care, even if you no longer in foster care today. If you are not sure if you were in foster care, check with your state child welfare agency. And then they actually give you a website to go look for that information. So want to make sure you support your students. If they have any questions regarding this, we always can direct them back to Texas DFPS Child Welfare. Here, I want to highlight for you the state training. So we have initiated state office hours. Please feel free to come to these state office hours. Please register for them. The links are on there. The links are also on our Foster Care and Student Success website. So you are able to go on there and log in and register for these. When you register, you can put any questions that you have or any concerns that you have there. And when we come to the actual state office, we will talk about those. When we have conversations about those, we've had 2 so far. Great turnout, great information shared. We also community providers have also come to the trainings and come to the office hours. So I think it's just a robust time to talk about concerns regarding foster care. So please sign up and come to those. Also, Foster Care 201. So this is new this year. We're adding a second training. We had Foster Care 101 in the fall. That talked about all the aspects of foster care. Foster Care 201 will be more about our deliverables, all those items that we provided to you that you can come and see how can you use this document. So our school of origin, our education best interest document. If you have any questions regarding any of the documents that we have placed out to help support you, please feel free to come to Foster Care 201. And yes, the date is March 26th. And please feel free to go on the website and register for that also. So now at this time, we'll look at a couple of questions that I see in the Q&A. At the time of documentation and enrollment, all for a student in foster care, they will need that 2085, that placement authorization stating that they are in conservatorship of the state of Texas. So remember, they must be in conservatorship. And that is either that 2085, that 2085E, or the court document or the court order. And all of these documents are in our foster care guide in the appendix if you want to see what those actual forms look like. Going through. For your district's numbers, remember, if you're the district reporting the information in PEIMS, get with your district PEIMS coordinators. Your district PEIMS coordinators are able to pull that information for you, and they can make it as easy as you can. They probably can let you know how to pull the information yourself, but get with your district PEIMS coordinators. They are able to pull that information for you. And I will put information in the chat regarding the trainings. And Foster Care 101 training is on the website right now. You are able to go on the website and you look at the PowerPoint and also the actual presentation. You are able to look at that also. And for that clarification, since you turned 13, is that if they entered foster care after the age of 13, that is what they're looking for. And if you want more clarification, please make sure you reach out to either Texas DFPS or Student Aid. StudentAid.gov will provide you more detailed information is after the age of 13. And remember, that information also goes towards the as the students are obtaining more tuition and fee waiver information, it all kind of goes together. So please make sure you're looking at that information also. And DFPS, their numbers are not the same as our ESC numbers. So remember, DFPS is by county. So they group their educational specialists by county. And with that, I'm going to move on to our next thing, which is pregnancy-related services. Thank you for your questions. So now for pregnancy-related services, this is new, brand new. It's been on the website, but we just want to make you aware of this. We have a pregnancy-related service, frequently asked questions. Now that is on the website for you. You can download it. Please make sure you're using it. Please share it with those in your districts who are working with pregnancy-related services. We're answering programs about program information, answering questions about attendance requirements, also answering questions about special education and PRS, and then also McKinney-Vento and PRS. So we're actually answering those questions for you. It's very detailed. Please go on our website and download that frequently asked questions. As soon as you go on the website, it is right there at the top of the page for you. Next, we have our end of the year documentation checklist. This has been out for a year, but we want to make sure we highlight it for you because we're getting close to the end of the school year. We want to make sure you have this information ready as you get ready to close out your school year with your PRS students. So this checklist is really related to our PRS and our compensatory education home instruction program. We want to make sure that you have all your documentation there and prepared and ready, and include information obtained by each student. So if you have a folder for each one of those students, it is very good to have this checklist available for each one of those students that help support you through that documentation process. So please make sure you go on our website and look at the end of year documentation checklist. And then lastly, want to give you the contact information for PRS, so pregnancy related services. I work alongside of our great Christina Page. She is in TEA Financial Compliance Division. She makes sure that you are getting all those funds for your PRS students. So please make sure if you have any compliance questions, any questions regarding am I getting the correct, am I coding the students correctly, anything like that, please make sure you're reaching out to Christina. I am working on the program side, so if you have any program questions, the usage of the student attendance accounting handbook. Remember, section 9 speaks all about pregnancy related services. So please make sure you reach out to me also. We do have an inbox, pregnancy related services at tea.texas.gov. So that information there will help you assist. And if you send information or questions to that inbox, we will answer it together. So Christina and I both check that inbox. And that is all. See any questions for PRS? And I will answer those on the back end. So I will now pass it on to Desiree Berry-Montes.
Good afternoon, everyone. So let's dive into Touchy. So our statewide ESC Regional McKinney-Vento Liaison support is out there to help you. We have a new COVID recovery grant that you can reach out to your ESC directly to see what kind of supports they're offering in your region. I highly recommend it. There are really cool things that are out there, but don't want to spoil it. Each region is a little bit different. Also, if you have any professional development needs, going to your ESC Regional Service Center and contacting your McKinney-Vento liaison is a great way to start. Also, if there's any technical assistance questions, please be sure to check in with your Regional McKinney-Vento liaison. You can find the Regional McKinney-Vento liaison information on the Touchy website. It's a quick scroll. Once you get there, it's in the middle of our page. It looks like this, and we have the information for regions 1 through 20 with a contact phone number as well as their email. Very exciting things happening for the ARP HCY funds. The Department of Education's Dear Colleague letter that we spoke briefly about last time is now been infused in our ARP recovery reallocation grant for our ESCs that are helping the LEAs, as well as for all of our LEAs who have ARP funding. I encourage you to check out the new expanded funding from this letter that's included in the errata, and I'll get to that just a little bit later in this presentation. Some of the highlights from this, and we are doing a lot of, feels like a very FAFSA highlight in this webinar, and so we're going to go through some of that for McKinney-Vento. But in the Dear Colleague letter, expanding that assistance for youth and their parents or guardians with the completion of the FAFSA that just came out, as well as college readiness. So looking at that post-secondary lens for all of our McKinney-Vento students experiencing homelessness in their senior year, college access activities, adding staff hours to provide such assistance, and then looking at our early childhood for the first time ever, really helping young children from birth all the way up to age 5, which is like right before we get into our K-12. And there's just a lot of exciting opportunities of expanded funding from this letter that really allows you guys to implement a very robust, comprehensive McKinney-Vento program. So excited to see how everybody does that. So let's dive into some of these expanded use of funds. A comprehensive document that you can find is going to be on our grants opportunity page. It's labeled errata. It's going to be the December 13th errata is where you can find all the information that we're going over in the next 3 slides. It's in there. And of course, if there's any questions, reach out to the homeless education inbox. But increased access for internet connected devices or equipment, as long as there is an implementation of strong internal controls. Payment for cell phones or cell phone plans. This can be for students, parents, or staff. So really help in your implementation of your program. Also providing needed supplies and really expanding that use of what needed supplies could be. This could be eyeglasses, school supplies, uniforms, clothing, as well as increased food assistance. The thing about increased food assistance, please keep in mind that it cannot take the place of free school meals that is provided through the federal funding for all students who qualify for that. You can also pay for certain household items. This could be hygiene, this could be air mattresses, this could be bedding, sleeping bags, linens, cleaning solutions, detergent. Also paying for short-term temporary housing, including a hotel or motel, and payment for gift cards. This is new for McKinney-Vento. This is the first time that the federal government is allowing the use of getting gift cards through your program, as long as you are implementing strong internal controls. I strongly encourage you to reach out to your ESCs for technical assistance around any of this use of expanded fundings and developing internal controls. So in looking at this, there is an assistance portion of doing the FAFSA. And so as a McKinney-Vento liaison, there's that duty to make sure that you are helping your unaccompanied youth in completing the FAFSA and providing that verification letter. If you need a sample verification letter, just a quick reminder, it is on the Touchy website that you can download and use to help your seniors as they apply for things. There's also expanded use of fundings for those college application expenses. That could be anywhere from $0 for a few of the schools across the nation, but it can go all the way up to $120. So considering doing that can really expand that post-secondary opportunity for our students. Registration fees, preparation materials. If they're in a CTE program, paying for like an ASVAB manual or just anything that they need in this spring season as they get into taking SATs or advanced placement tests, as well as being able to hire graduation coaches or providing stipends to counselors so that they make sure that all of our students are on track for graduation, as well as assisting in that career and technical education programs, college and dual enrollment. And so you're really looking at that transition point of how to support them while they're in high school as robustly as possible, getting them everything that they need into that post-secondary track. Very exciting, super, super excited. We have our new Touchy competitive sub-grant cycle coming up. So be on the lookout in the late spring of this semester. Our new 3-year grant competitive cycle application will be released. We will also do a listserv announcement so you guys are all aware and can start that application process. We are anticipating NOGAs to be released in September of 2024. And then each of the grant year cycles are on here so you can get an idea. Of course, you have to apply in this first year because it is a competitive sub-grant to be eligible for all 3 years of the sub-grant cycle. Very excited about ACET this year. So it is going to be in San Antonio, and there is quite a robust offering of McKinney-Vento trainings. So I encourage you to take a look at those conference offerings, connect with your ESC McKinney-Vento liaisons. There's lots of offerings that they're doing. For us at TEA, we are doing a McKinney-Vento 101, of course, including all of these awesome updates inside of that. And for the first time, this is new, our McKinney-Vento transportation that is going to be released at that in-person spring conference at ACET. And then we have our regional McKinney-Vento liaison half-day quarterly meeting as well. But very, very excited. I've seen like at least 6 or 7 different offerings at ACET around McKinney-Vento with some very good topics. So thank you guys at the LEAs for doing those presentations, as well as our ESC McKinney-Vento liaisons. Can't wait to go to ACET this year. As far as our upcoming trainings, coffee chats, and office hours, we did have a schedule change on McKinney-Vento 101. It is going to be pre-recorded and distributed to everybody that was registered and available on the website by the end of February. And this was previously scheduled for Thursday, February 8th, 10 to 12. And in March, we've got a new McKinney-Vento funding and sustainability. All that feedback we're taking in and we understand in looking at your ARP funding as well as your McKinney-Vento funding, really making sure that you are implementing a program that has sustainable best practices. So very excited to engage with you guys on March 7th. So feel free to join us. Our next TECHI office hours is going to be Monday, March 11th. So if anything comes up for you in that funding and sustainability webinar, feel free to join us and really dive a little bit deeper through the office hours. I've been really enjoying those since I started. So can't wait to see you guys in that. And then in April, we have our McKinney-Vento 201. Please keep in mind, we will definitely be recording these and they will be available on the website, and we will announce that so that you're able to go and enjoy 101, funding and sustainability, as well as 201. We have our upcoming TECHI ARP Homeless One into Grant Coffee Chat on the 18th from 1 to 2:30. And then our last office hours, which really, if you're doing this new sub-grant cycle and you have some questions as you're putting that application together, encourage you to mark that on your calendars for those office hours on Thursday, April 25th, between 1 and 2 o'clock.
Desiree, you have set off the announcement you made about the new expanded funding has got our guests excited, and so you have quite a few in the Q&A.
Oh, awesome. I'm still getting used to Q&A versus chat. So like I have my chat up, so should have had the Q&A up, but this is great. So what is a reasonable amount to budget for emergency clothing and food per student in high needs? I definitely would encourage you to reach out to your McKinney-Vento liaison to really flesh that out as a technical assistance question and include the homeless education inbox. They will get back with us so we can get you a good solid answer. But I really always say this for McKinney-Vento, really look at it as case by case when you are determining how to assist students experiencing homeless. For the ARP new allowables, I love that. Can we retroactively go back to September to pay for these new items? We completely appreciate your question. We're going to take that back to us and get back to you, Yvonne, and get you an answer for that. Our towels yes, absolutely. They're considered linens or household items and they're an allowable expense. I would say towels are a great way to do that. Also, when you're looking at your McKinney-Vento program, baby wipes work for all students experiencing homelessness in a variety of situations. So just another way for you to expand your thinking on the towels and really ask your student population which they would prefer. What about AP tests? Can we offer support in paying for the test? So on the AP test, you have the ability to work with any of the school counselors. Those should already be free for students that are experiencing homelessness. So really check for the counselors because they're on the free and reduced lunch as part of the McKinney-Vento when they do their coding. And if they haven't been coded that way, that's a good data validity that you could do with your PEAMS coordinator. But just make sure that you're working with the counselors, that they're signed up for that and paying for those AP test costs. But yes, you can use ARP funding to pay for like an AP calculus test guide or any of the AP exams that they may be taking. The expanded ARP funding, is that only if you also have the TECHI grant? If we have ARP 2 only, can we also purchase those items? So clarification on this, and in the Dear Colleague letter, it does specify this. This expanded use of fundings is only for your ARP HCY funds. This does not include your TECHI funding. It's always important to look at your program guidelines for each of your grants. And this expanded use of fundings for your ARP2. So yes, Holly, you are able to use the expanded use of funds for your ARP2 that you have. And you can look for that on the grant opportunity page in the errata for your specific ARP funding. So just want to reiterate, so that is not for touchy funding. The Department of Education only released that for ARP HCY funds. Yes, you can absolutely pay for registration for ACIT from your TECHI or ARP1 or ARP2. We would love to have you there. Very excited that we have such a robust offering of McKinney-Vento choices for you. Love to see it as a track at ACIT. It's really gotten very big over the years, so can't wait for that. So yes, Claudia, please join us at ACIT. And then introduce yourself so I can see your face. It'd be great. Let's see. Will there be an increase in the available funds awarded for the competitive subgrant? So it is always a best practice to use the same calculation for students, because that amount is determined as we are in the application process, and it's dependent on how many applications are received to go through that. So in the last grant cycle, a good rule of thumb would be around $120 to estimate for your students, because that is what was used in the previous grant cycle. There is an increase in funding that we did get from the Department of Education, but how that will be per student is yet to be determined. But yes, we did have more allocated to the state, $12 million. So very, very exciting stuff going on for McKinney-Vento, and so many choices in how you're using your funding, especially for ARP HCY. We have an increased amount of McKinney-Vento recent immigrant students. I completely understand that. I think that Texas has faced an ebb and a flow since 2018, especially. If you have a particular question around McKinney-Vento and immigration, highly encourage you to reach out to your ESC McKinney-Vento liaison or the homeless education inbox. And I did see a comment about the homeless education inbox and not receiving a response in a timely manner. We are definitely working on that, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Am I missing any? Okay, can we provide summer open gym for students so students have a place to go in healthy environment, and provide them lunch and snacks? We can include leadership sessions. So this is a grant specific question. And I would just copy and paste what you've got started there and send it to the homeless education inbox, and we will get back to you on that specific thing that you're asking about. If you'll just also include an agenda for what you're thinking about, because I see that you have a lunch and snack question, and there's like a few things with the free school meals that is nuanced in that. So an agenda would be very helpful in addressing that question quickly. All right, Ashley, is there a possibility that the end date for the ARP grants will be extended past September 30th, 2024, or is that part of reallocation grant? So right now, our reallocation grant is September 30th, 2024. And the best place for you to look at that is going to be on our grants opportunity page. It is always up to date. We have been looking at that, and we'll definitely have the end date be extended for what is allowed from the federal government. So I encourage you to look back at that, and we will come back to that, Ashley, in the next webinar. I'm taking this question and putting it in my notes to address, to see if that's been expanded for you. Let's see. What about homeless students with their own children? Is there additional resources for these students? Tammy, I'm not sure if I understand, like, are you wanting to, depends on a couple of things. If your school district has ARP HCY funds for that portion of it, they are able to get some household items or clothing or diapers, different things like that for the student. If you have something that's a little bit more about that student and what their needs are, and your school district does not have an ARP HCY grant, then you can also reach out to your ESC McKinney-Vento liaison at the regional level, and there may be something that they can do with their ARP reallocation grant If that doesn't fully address your question, please reach out to your regional McKinney-Vento liaison so that we can assist you with that. How do we apply for the grant? Francine, that is such a good question. The TECHI subgrant will go through the competitive grant cycle, and the place to look for that, of course, we're going to make an announcement. So you're part of this listserv and it will go to you and you'll see, hey, it's there, it's live, go ahead and apply to it. But the best way to find grant opportunities is to go to the grant opportunities page on TEA. And that's how you do that application process. All the information for your grant will be there. On cell phones for staff, is this only of LEAs or ESCs as well? That expanded use of funding is the same in both of those grants. Great question, Tana. Cypress, we have 17-year-old homeless and unaccompanied youth runaway. Does the parent have rights to access their school records? So Cypress, I'm going to encourage you to reach out to your McKinney-Vento regional liaison on this question in particular. There is a couple of nuanced things between runaway policy as well as unaccompanied youth. I don't know the full parameters of it, but I will say that if the parent is still listed as their guardian, then the policy that you're going to want to look into is going to be FERPA. So FERPA has specific guidance on what school guardians are able to access or not access as far as school records go. So that's a little bit outside of the scope of McKinney-Vento, and I know it includes the unaccompanied youth, but you're going to want to look at that FERPA policy and reach out to your ESC McKinney-Vento liaison for technical assistance so that we can coordinate and work together and get you an answer to that specific question. Man, you guys are keeping my brain on firing on all cylinders. This is awesome. I love all these questions, and I hope you guys are very, very excited about the expanded use of fundings. I know me and Kelly and the rest of the team would love if you're like saying, hey, we're using our funding and you want to throw some of that in the chat so I can go back and read it. That would be awesome. Really, really appreciate that. Rafina, is it better for the LEA to apply on their own or SSA with the region? That is such an excellent question. And I know I always like McKinney-Vento, you're going to hear me say this over and over again. It really is case by case, but really looking at your LEA and what your LEA needs are. There are some really good benefits of being a part of an SSA. I know when I was a McKinney-Vento liaison and being a part of an SSA, it took part of that grant application off, and like I was able to participate in the activities that they put together, which made it a really good package for how busy I was when I was a new liaison. But then there's also benefits. I've had it where I was also McKinney-Vento liaison and I had my full LEA grant, which does leave you with all of the grant responsibilities. So really that's something that you need to look at for your TECHI program at your school district. And as you're teasing out the pros and cons between both of those, I highly encourage you to contact your regional McKinney-Vento liaison just to get a feel for like what their SSA has to offer and what they're planning in this new grant cycle. I would encourage you to do that before making your decision on which way to go for that. Sharon, how often are the students allowed to get household items? There's no specification about how often. I will say that I know when you're giving out hygiene, you know, hygiene is one of those that can be used very quickly within a month. Just keep in mind of being a good steward of the funds, and you want to have equitable practices for all of your students. So you don't want to have like one student receiving like 95% of your grant funds, right? So you want to just be equitable and mindful of that. So if you're offering that, make sure that that is across your entire student population. So I would say that depends on how you do your distribution of those household items. If you're specifically talking about hygiene, and you also have a follow-up question, is it a one-time thing or as needed? You know, for me, when I was a McKinney-Vento liaison, I would do it as part of like a quarterly process, and I would offer it to all of my students experiencing homelessness with a special eye on my unaccompanied youth and those families that I had living in cars. So I'd say, yes, you could offer it a few times. Just make sure that you're being a good steward of the funds and offering it to your whole population within your LEA.
Thanks, you all. We're going to actually have to go ahead and move on. This was a wonderful TECHI Q&A session. Thanks everybody for your questions, and thanks Desiree so much. This was really, really great. And just in the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next presenter, which is Dr. Bowser, who will be providing our military connected student updates.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And wow, Desiree, you raised the bar there. For those folks who still have questions, please feel free to send an email over to the homeless education inbox. Desiree will likely keep answering these questions while she's in the background here, while I go ahead and take the mic. So today we're going to do some updates on military connected students, and I'd love to start by this is me just kind of flexing with the commissioner and other folks, but I'd like to really thank the Fort Cavazos school liaisons for inviting myself and the commissioner and others down to speak. They had a Fort Cavazos Education Summit last Friday, so I got a chance to go down there and present. And so there's myself with, in the middle, that's myself and the Commissioner of Education, Mike Morath. On the bottom left, there's myself with Representative Dr. Brad Buckley. He is the state legislative representative for that clean area. We have Dr. Becky Porter, who's the president and CEO of Military Child Education Coalition, or MCEC. They're great partners of ours. And then there's the commander for the Fort Cavazos and the 3 Armored Corps Commanding General, Lieutenant General Sean C. Barnaby. He welcomed us with open arms, and so we had a great time while we were there at Fort Cavazos. So thank you. And if there are any school liaisons who are on, if you're doing an education summit, please let me know, and we'll go tails up with Southwest, and we'll get there. So we'll see you soon. Reach out to me. All right, today we want to go ahead and get started with our Purple Star Campus designation. It is that time of the year. And for those who aren't familiar with the Purple Star Campus designation, this was created by the legislature a few years ago, and it recognizes campuses for demonstrating their support and commitment to meeting the unique needs of military-connected students and their families. This can be found in statute and Texas Education Code 33.909 if you want to kind of look at that. And we award the Purple Star, we announce the Purple Star designations every fall. And so that application process we're about to get started with it. And so we hope to have as many LEAs as possible applying. If you're on this call today, please reach out to your principals and superintendents and please ask them, hey, are we applying for Purple Star this year? And hopefully you get a yes. If you get a no, reach out to me, let me know, and I will reach out. So thank you so much. And just a reminder, for the campuses interested in applying for the Purple Star Campus designation, there are a few criteria that are outlined in statute. You have to have a campus-based military liaison. The campus has to have a webpage for military-connected families. They have to have a student-led campus transition program. They have to offer professional development for staff related to military-connected student topics like the Purple Star program, for one, is a way to meet this requirement for the Purple Star, is come to the training in a couple of weeks, and then it helps you meet that criteria. And they have to participate in at least one of 3 initiatives to support military-connected students and families, and we'll talk about that here shortly. But the designation lasts for 2 years. And so if you receive the designation in the 22-23 year, then this is your year to reapply to maintain your Purple Star Campus designation. So please be sure to reach out, and a list of the folks who received that 2 years ago is on our website. If you want to know if your school's on that list or it's your time to reapply, please feel free to go to our website, to the Purple Star website. And you want to look for the school year 22-23 list. And there's 179 campuses that applied that year, or that received the designation that year. And so those campuses all need to reapply to maintain their designation this year. Currently, we have 331 Purple Star schools, and we're looking forward to that number continuing to grow each year. The window for the Purple Star application will open on April 1st. There, you heard it. That's the first announcement. The window for Purple Star will open April 1st, and it will remain open through June 7th. We have a spring interest meeting that's coming up here on the 20th. So next week, I believe it is. And there's a link here to register. When we send this out to you, you'll have these links are live. And so you can click on these links to register. And so you should get this PDF in just a couple of days. So we have the interest meeting where we're going to walk through all the criteria and how to, show you exemplars and all that kind of stuff. But then we also have the actual application trainings where we walk you through the application process. What will work in an application? What's an exemplar? What should you upload? What should be a part of your application? So we'll have two of those meetings. I have one on March 28th at 10 a.m. And then we'll have a second repeat meeting, April 11th at 1 p.m. And so we have the links to register for those as well. And again, I want to just make sure I admit that I remind you that the April 11th one is a repeat of the March 28th one. So you don't have to come to both, but we'll welcome you if you want to come to both. So we appreciate that. I also want to remind you that there is a to the administrator letter that's going to be coming out on February 22nd that is going to outline this information as well. And so please be on the lookout for the to the administrator letter. If you don't get those, please go to the TEA website and select, I think it's correspondence, and you can select to receive those letters that come. And those are usually very important letters that have a lot of really important information that goes out. One more. All right. This is February, but this is our last webinar before April. So we want to go ahead and call out and remind you that April is Month of the Military Child. We want you to join us in celebrating Month of the Military Child this year. Our Purple Up Day is Monday, April 15th. The Department of Defense sets that date every year, and so we follow that here in the state of Texas. But I do want to remind you that LEAs may choose their own dates for Month of the Military Child celebrations. We do realize that time is right around, there's some testing going on around that time. And so we do want to remind you, you don't have to do Purple Up on the same date, but you can choose your own date. But please feel free to send pictures. If you take pictures or if you do anything for Month of the Military Child, please send those over to me at militaryconnectedstudents@tea.texas.gov. And we'll have that link here at the end of this presentation. But if you're looking for some ideas on how to celebrate Month of the Military Child, there's some resources here for you. And they have lots and lots of great ideas. And so we'll send this over to you in a couple of days, and feel free to look through these resources and choose some ideas to celebrate your military connected kids in April. And this I just want to share this slide because I just love seeing it so much. Last year, I had a chance to go down to Northside ISD in the San Antonio area. There's Diana Fryer, the school's liaison down there. And so we went to a couple of campuses to do their Purple Star for their Purple Star celebrations. So we want to thank the Northside ISD for inviting us down. And if you do something, you're in the air and you want me to come visit and see your Purple Star celebrations, please feel free to reach out to me. If I can make it, I will come. And who knows, maybe your stuff will be featured in our webinars in the future. All right. Now, this is very exciting. This is the first time we're going to announce this. And you look at that logo and you're thinking, that looks a little bit different. It's because it is. This is the first official announcement of something very special that we have coming out soon. It's the Purple Star Rise program. And we partnered with the Military Child Education Coalition to create the Purple Star Rise toolkit. And the purpose is to create the Gold Star standard to assist LEAs in implementing effective Purple Star programs. There's lots of great resources, tools, and videos, brochures, asynchronous professional development training modules, and more that will be included in the Purple Star Rise toolkit when it comes out. We expect to start releasing those resources here later this spring, we'll continue to build on those more throughout the summer and fall and into the future. But we're excited about the Purple Star Rise project, and we look forward to announcing that and releasing those resources soon. The next thing I want to remind you about is the Interstate Compact, and this can be found in the Texas Education Code, Chapter 162. And the Interstate Compact is an agreement between all 50 states and the District of Columbia. And the purpose of it is to remove the barriers to educational success and help ease those transitions for our military families. The compact addresses areas such as enrollment, placement, eligibility, graduation, etc. The compact requires each state to identify a state council that assists with the administration of the compact provisions. And I'll talk about that in just a second, but we have the State Advisory Council that is responsible for helping to make sure that the state of Texas is complying with the military compact and the rules of the military compact. And so if you want to see those rules, one of the things I want to really stress here is that the MIC3, which is the Military Interstate Children's Compact Commission, that's why it says MIC3, those compact rules have the force and effect of state statutes. So please, if you have not seen the military compact rules, there's a link here that you can click on it and go to that. But again, you can always go to mic3.net, and you can look at those compact rules. Again, you can go to Chapter 162. All of the laws for the Texas Interstate Compact are there. There are some nuances from the national office, but please feel free, make sure that you take a look at that and really every person who can hear my voice should go and do the training for the Compact 101, because it really is important, and there are a lot of really important statutes and rules in there that are necessary to help make sure our military kiddos don't fall behind because their parents are moving around from one station to another. And to do that, I wanted to lead right into this. The military compact is overseen by, I mentioned earlier, the Military Interstate Contact Commission. They, MIC3.net. And so we want to go ahead and direct you to their website for any information or any questions you might have. We do have our own Texas MIC3 site where our commissioner designee, Ms. Shelly Ramos, is available to answer any questions. And so if you go to our website, you'll see that information there. Earlier, I mentioned the State Advisory Council. When Texas entered the Military Compact Agreement, we were required to set up a State Advisory Council on Educational Opportunity for Military Children. As I am a part of that council, and so we help to coordinate efforts across the state to ensure compliance with the Interstate Compact. The council has a responsibility. Let me back up. The council is comprised of representative members from the governor's office, the Texas legislature, again, our Texas State Commissioner designee, Ms. Shelly Ramos. She's the head of the commission, of the council. We have TA program staff on there, the LEA representatives, there's installation personnel, and there are also parent representatives on there as well. We do meet quarterly, and those meetings are on our MIC3 website. And if you attend that meeting, it is an open meeting, so you're welcome to attend. But when you attend that meeting, if you want to be able to speak at that meeting, it follows the same process for other Open Meeting Act meetings. So you have to submit your information ahead of time if you plan to speak at that meeting or would like to speak at that meeting. But otherwise, it's an open meeting that's open to the public, and you're welcome to join us anytime. We'll have those Zoom links available. All right. So for everything I just said, I want to go ahead and make sure that you understand and give you this very exciting announcement. The MIC3 now has a Compact 101 asynchronous course that is available for you to take anytime. It used to be that they would offer the training twice a month. And so you had to, be available to go to that training. And sometimes it was at weird times, like 7 o'clock at night, Central Time here in this area. And so now that we have an asynchronous course that you can access anywhere, anytime, and it's free. You can access it whenever you would like to. You just go to the site and sign up. You will receive at the end, you get a CP certificate for 1.5 hours, because it takes about 1.5 hours to take the course. But again, like I mentioned earlier, every person in this state that has any stakeholder interest in military connected students should take this course. Everyone, and I want to really, really stress that. But all LEA staff, ESC staff, military connected student stakeholders, and parents and families of military connected kids. The course is there, it's free. Please go out and take it. MIC3training.net is the website, and we look forward. And again, this can count as part of your Purple Star Campus professional development requirement. So if you take that, you'll see a certificate at the end. You want to turn that in to whoever is your campus-based military liaison for Purple Star, so they can upload that as evidence that the staff has received the professional development. And again, there's the site, MIC3training.net. The asynchronous course does have 10 training modules, and we have those all listed here. So this is the flow and the order in which they are in the video. I've taken it myself. It's very, very good. It's very well done. It really helps you understand the compact and how it impacts students, especially when it comes to graduation. There's some very, very nuanced information in there when it comes to Texas. And if a senior moves into the state, there's some really nuanced information in there. So please, again, go take that course and be sure to print out your certificate and save it. MIC3 also has an FAQ that's available at their site, and you can answer those questions. If you have any questions about that, feel free to contact their national office. And there's the training portal again. All right. Before we move on, I just kind of wanted, before we move to the next thing, there's a couple of things I wanted to remind you about. Because it's important that we understand, who our military connected kids are. So I wanted to just bring in a few, I call them fun facts, but did you know that among new military recruits, 30% of them have a parent in the military, and 70% of them report having a family member who's in the armed services. And so a lot of our students, that's a third of them, 30% of our kids who join the military have a parent who's in the military. 2/3 of military teens say they plan to serve in the military in the future. That's military, those military teens, 2/3 of them say they plan to serve in the future. And we say all that to emphasize the point that family ties do matter. And so if you have military connected kids at your school and you see those parents coming in, there's a good chance that that student may have an interest in joining the military at school. You know, a lot of our emphasis is on college and career readiness, but there's also the military aspect. Some students want to go into the military right after high school. I did. I'm a U.S. Marine. I love being a Marine, and it was one of the best things I ever did. It helped me prepare me for life. And so I would urge all of our counselors and other school officials who are listening to this, please be sure to include military recruiters in your college the college days that they do, or any of the post-secondary activities that you do. Please be sure to include to those students who may have an interest in joining the military after high school. Everyone, just want to remind you, back on September 8th of 2022, the TEA distributed a letter reminding high schools that they're beginning with this class, or the class that graduated last year, the class of 2023, you can receive CCMR credit for those students who enlist in the armed forces or the Texas National Guard, and that can be found in statute there, Texas TC 39.053. Again, began with the last year's senior class, and they have 1 year to bring you their form. It's a form DD form 4. That's the picture. I have a picture of it here on this website. And this is the form that they have to bring to the campus. And the campus will have to upload this form via a secure portal in order for the campus to receive the CCMR bonus credit points for the student enlisting in the military. This process comes from our performance reporting department. And so if you have any questions about this process, please email our performance reporting division, and you can find that on our TEA website. When you go to the CCMR, this is another place you can find this information. If you go to the CCMR tab of the performance reporting page, this is where you'll go in. You can upload that information for the CCMR verifier for military enlistment. The window opens in March of this year, so next month, and the window will close in May. So please, if you know students who went to the military last year after they went to high school, if they have not come to bring you that form yet, or if you know how to get in touch with them, please get in touch with them to have them bring you their DD4 so you can get, so the campus can get the CCMR bonus points. And again, if you have those questions, the performance reporting inbox is right there. And we also have a link to their page here at the bottom. All right, our upcoming training and events. We talked about these earlier, our military connected students and Purple Star presentations. We have the 20th, then we have the Purple Star application meetings that we talked about earlier. And here are the meeting dates for the next two State Advisory Council on Education Opportunity for Military Children. The next meeting is on April 22nd, and then there's another one this summer, July 15th. They're 1 to 2:30, so an hour and a half, and here are the links to join those. And again, if you'd like to be able to talk at those meetings, you have to follow the process to be able to submit that. And we have that information on the State Advisory Council page. All right, we'll take a moment here to pause to see if we have anything in the Q&A. I do not, so thank you. Is MIC training for parents and students to take? Absolutely, everyone should take it. Claudia, that's a great question. Yes, everyone should take the MIC3 training course. Again, that's mic3training.net, and everyone should take that course. I have my contact information here. Please feel free to reach out to me. There's my inbox and our website. And please, there's a QR code to sign up for newsletters at TEA's website. And so please select the Military Connected newsletter along with our other program newsletters when you go to that page. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kelly. But before Kelly ends, we have one more poll for you at the end where we'd like to get some information from you on where else you'd like to see us present. So right at the end, before we end, we'll drop that poll up there, and we'd like you to just put some information there about where you'd like to see us present in the future. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Kelly.
Thank you, Dr. Bowser and team, just for so many robust updates. Thank you, everybody who has stayed on with us today. I really appreciate your time this afternoon. As just a reminder, we went over this in the presentation, but did want to just showcase it here at the end of our deck, which you all will receive in the next few days following the presentation. Just are the different upcoming trainings. So we are completing our webinar today. Our next one and final one for the 23-24 year will be on May 2nd. So we hope to see all of you there. Listed out here is the McKinney-Vento presentations and opportunities that Desiree spoke of, as well as the upcoming foster care training opportunities that Dr. Watson mentioned. Additionally, here is the military connected information that Dr. Bowser shared about.
All right, and I have launched that poll. Where else would you like to see us present? It's just kind of an open box there. And so feel free to just drop some information in there and let us know where else you'd like to see us present. We'll leave that poll open so you can continue to enter information in there after this is over with, but please give us some information on where you'd like to see us present. We love presenting, we love visiting with y'all, and we'd love to see you all sometime soon. So we appreciate your feedback and giving us some information here. And again, as a reminder, we have a feedback QR code that's going to pop up at the end here when we end this webinar. Please give us some feedback there. Please know that we do read your feedback. We take it into account in a lot of our planning and everything we're doing. So we love hearing from you guys, and we use it to plan. So please feel free to please give us some feedback at the end.
Yeah. Thank you. And just at a high level, we have been at ACET a number of times. The Texas School Counselors Conference, Dr. Watson has been there over the last couple of years. The Charter Schools Conference is something that we've started to go to. Not all of our program have been represented at each of these conferences, but we are just really trying to get a sense of where you all are going for training and where it would be helpful for us to be out in the field. I know Dr. Bowser will be at a rural school conference at the end of this month speaking about Purple Star and the military connected work. So just thank you guys so much for your feedback on this poll. We want to be where you are for training. So we hope to see you guys on May 2nd as we close out this year. And where you can find our listserv updates, I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware. We have a webpage, our Highly Mobile and At-Risk Student Programs webpage, where you can see here on the slide where you can find more information, tools, and resources. We also have a listserv, so I wanted to make sure and flag that for you all. We actually just released on February 9th, our second newsletter of this year. Lots of robust updates were included in that newsletter. So you want to make sure that you're signed up for our Highly Mobile listserv, as well as all of our team members' listservs to get announcements and updates when they come out from the agency. That HMAR newsletter that did drop, wanted to kind of highlight, we did provide some information on FAFSA in there. We did provide some more information and frequent Q&As concerning students in foster care. We did double down on that MIC3 resource that Dr. Bowser spoke of. We also did include links to the erratas and the changes concerning the TECHI ARP grants. So that is, it's nice to have information coming out from our office that you can reference with your leadership, you can refer to yourself. So please go back and make sure that you check your inboxes for February 9th in the afternoon when that letter was distributed. We will also be posting it on our website in the future so that you can reference it in case you missed it. But please make sure that you sign up for our listservs in the future. This then brings us to our very last slide. And so this is on the left, the QR code concerning feedback. We would love to hear from you. So please fill that out. And then to subscribe to any of our listservs, you can do that by clicking the QR code on the right. Is there anything else, team, in the chat before we wrap up?
Let's see, there's something, let's see some stuff in the Q&A. Let's see. That's Claudia's question. Comment on the question. It would be great to get a comprehensive asynchronous course for our highly mobile students. It's funny you would mention that. We are working on that. So thank you so much for that, Sanicio. We are working on that, but we'd love to see you. Let's see, school district social work support homeless. Yeah, so that's it. And we've still got 3 minutes. The poll's still open. Please let us know where you want us to present. We'll leave it open for a few more minutes, but that's everything that's in the Q&A for now. I said we'd love to see you at truancy conferences. We'd love to come to truancy conferences. So let us know where they are. Email us, let us know. We want to be there.
Jimmy, I love your enthusiasm for truancy conferences. If you guys put it in the Q&A, make sure you also include it in the poll so that we have that comprehensive list.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon and a great February, and we will see you on May 2nd. Take care.